I have been asked to talk about how to convert between units. There's a couple of things that we need to think about before we even start to work a problem like this. The first thing to think about is when you have a square unit, let's say square feet, what that means is that you have a rectangular region that has been measured in feet. So each unit inside this region is 1 square foot. So that is just a way of designating what measurement we are using to measure width. So if we're looking at square yards, for example, then our rectangular region would be measured in so many yards by so many yards. So this particular drawing would be 9 square yards. So now going back to our problem, we have to visualize this each time we're thinking about changing these units. So we're given a rectangle that is 117 square feet. So it was measured, the width was measured in feet, the length was measured in feet. So you can think about all those divisions in there, how many 1 by 1 square foot divisions. There'd be 117 of these little squares, like tiles on the floor, 117 of these little tiles that are 1 foot by 1 foot. So now we're asked to convert this into square yards. So in order to convert between measurements, I always use conversion factors, and those are fractions. So think about if we have 117, and on the top of this fraction, because I'm going to write it as a fraction, we have 117 square feet over 1, and then I'm going to multiply that by a fraction so that my answer will end up being square yards. So that means that when I multiply straight across, remember when we multiply fractions, we go top times top, bottom times bottom. I'm going to multiply across and get square yards. So in the top of this fraction, I need square yards. And then since I'm multiplying by fractions, I need to make sure that I am multiplying by something that will not change the value. So I'm going to multiply by a 1 factor, and that factor of 1 that I'm going to use is going to be how many square yards are in 1 square foot. Now how do I know square foot? I'm setting up this conversion factor so that I have square feet in the top and square feet in the bottom so that they will cancel. So when everything cancels out, what I'm left with is just the square yards that I want. Now, what about that conversion factor? Let's go to another page and talk about what is the equivalence between square feet and square yards. So we have a rectangle that is 1 yard by 1 yard. So it is 1 square yard. Now, how many feet are there in here? Well, 1 yard is 3 feet. So we have feet that way, and 1 yard is 3 feet this way. So 1 square yard, which means we had 1 yard by 1 yard, is equal to, how many do we have? 3, because this is the same thing as 3 feet, by 3 feet, so this is the same thing as 3 feet, or that's equal to 9 square feet. And you can see that I have those drawn in there. If you count the boxes, you'll see there are 9 square feet. So our conversion factor is 1, so if we write it as a fraction, 1 square yard over 9 square feet. And that is equal to, this is a 1. That is a way to write 1. So now that we have our conversion factor, let's go back to our problem. So we're going to write in that square yard. So 1 square yard was equal to 9 square feet. So our square feet have canceled. I've already marked those out. So that means the only thing that I'm left with as far as units is square yards. Now let's do the arithmetic with the numbers. So in the top, I have 117 times 1, so that's 117. And in the bottom, I have 9 times 1, or just 9. When we simplify our fraction there, we'll find that 117 divided by 9 is equal to 13. And don't forget, we need to add our units, 13 square yards. So 117 square feet is equivalent to 13 square yards. So let me know if you have further questions on these.